Everybody likes a good piece of pie, and those socialist types, they're obsessed with making sure everybody gets a fair slice of the nation's wealth pie. But the problem, here's a big problem. Where did the wealth pie come from? Is there really a wealth pie at all? I'm Alan Barton. Stand by for a special Facebook edition of Front Page. Joining me here in PJTV studios, Terry Jones, Associate Editor of Investors Business Daily, and Yaron Brook, President of the Ayn Rand Center for Individual Rights. Gentlemen, all right, we've heard this metaphor a million times, all since we were 10 years old. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. The rich get most of this wealth pie. They get a bigger slice. The poor get just these crumbs falling off of the pie, and it is essentially unfair. This brings up the question of fairness. You have one pie, slices are being allocated unfairly. So Yaron, your column in Forbes this week, you say there is no pie. Tell us about this.
The whole metaphor is just plain wrong, and it indeed serves the purposes of the left. It serves the purpose, first of all, of presenting wealth as a zero-sum game, right? There's one pie. Whatever you get, I don't get. So if you get more, it means by definition, I get less. Wealth is not zero-sum. There is no fixed amount of wealth. Wealth is created. The pie is growing all the time when you have economic freedom and it's allowed to grow. But there isn't a pie to begin with, because the pie assumes that somebody bakes this thing, and then somebody else slices it into pieces. But the fact is that each one of us bakes our own pie, right? We each create our own wealth, and we get to keep the wealth. We slice away to the government, but we get to keep that wealth. So the fact that I have a lot of wealth doesn't prevent anybody else from having a lot of wealth, or it doesn't reduce somebody else's lot in terms of wealth. So it's this collective notion of wealth. We as society created a pie. No. Steve Jobs created a pie. You created a pie. Each one of us created wealth.
I mean, in another segment, we made fun of the president for his comment about ATMs, the idea that ATMs reduce employment because those people who would have handed you money at a bank are now being replaced. Can you just address the fallacy there? Because I bet some people are like, what's the problem? I get it. Automation destroys jobs.
Well, wait a minute. You're saying it doesn't? I mean, jeez. Well, yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous, obviously, because what an ATM does, in fact, is it creates wealth. And it creates wealth for everyone. The user of it has more time, is more productive, and the people who put it in certainly have jobs, and the people who designed it have jobs, and the people who make software have jobs, and they're better jobs than the ones that existed before, because this replaced low-end clerk jobs in banks. It used to be you had to go into a bank to cash a check. Now you don't have to. You can just go in and draw your money right out in an ATM. The idea that automation destroys jobs has been around for a long time, ever since the 19th century and the Luddites. And it's one of the most easily disproved theses in economics, and yet it keeps coming back and back and back.
And it's a good thing that the president of the biggest economy on the face of planet Earth appears not to know this information, so that it could even slip out. There's no way you could even slip that out if you know the basic truth of it. Now, here's another metaphor. A rising tide raises all boats. This was John F. Kennedy. Yeah. How can that apply in terms of understanding this notion that there is no pie other than that which everyone creates themselves?
Yeah, I mean, again, think about this jobs thing, right? The jobs, there's an assumption out there that there's a finite amount of jobs. There's 1 million jobs, and if you get a job, that means my probability of getting a job is less. No, jobs create jobs. The more productive we are, the more we save, the more wealth we create, the more jobs are created. Business creates jobs all the time. And that raises anybody, and the only boats that don't rise with the rising tide are the boats of people who don't want to work, who don't want to improve their life.
What about the argument that there are those people who are given advantages? There's a genetic lottery going out there. You know, you are born into a family that believes in education, that sends you to good schools. You have those advantages, and thus you are able to create a bigger section of the pie that someone who, for no reason other than the good fortune, does not able to. How do you address that? Well, in terms of it? Because a lot of people, when they talk about income inequality, they're talking about the opportunities that some people have that other people don't.
We're really talking about policy based on envy here, because hamstringing and handicapping the most creative, the most intelligent, the most hardworking among us won't help the rest of us one bit. In fact, it'll hurt the rest of us. So if you want to help yourself, you should allow others to succeed spectacularly well, because then you benefit as well. But this is really just a policy of envy, and it's been with us for a long time, I'd say since, you know, time immemorial.
Yeah, this idea of equality is a myth. There is no such thing as equality. Thank goodness there isn't such a thing as equality. What makes life interesting and fun and challenging. And it's not a moral ideal, it's evil, the idea of equality, because the only way you can achieve equality is by...
an arbiter. Someone has to arbitrate.
Somebody has to arbitrate, but ultimately you have to suppress the good. So if you're too tall and somebody's short, that's not equal. The tall guy can play basketball better, so you have to put weights on the tall guy. There's no way to achieve equality without penalizing ability, which is downright evil.
All right, gentlemen, that's all the time we have for today. Viewers, help your friends get the right media in their social media. Make sure you let them know about Front Page and PJTV. We have all the analysis you need on the events in the news every week. Just check out Front Page, hosted by me, Alan Barton, every Friday and Saturday. For Terry and Yaron, I'm Alan Barton. Thanks for watching.